Hey, everybody. I am Amber Leah, and I am going to be talking to you today about day 11, setting goals for lifelong health. And this is a topic that I'm pretty passionate about because just by my own nature, I really like setting goals. I haven't always been that way, but I have found that it's super valuable. I want to encourage you on this 14-day detox that this initial step of being intentional in your health journey is such an incredible blessing and gift. For me, I've released 95 pounds and it has been life changing for me. And I started this journey by having some goals put in place. And I maintain this healthy lifestyle by continuing to set goals. And so I want to talk a little bit about this for you. And here's what's cool. It's not going to impact just your health journey. It's going to impact every area of your life. This is really about personal development and self-improvement. So hang in there with me. I'm going to move kind of quickly. Um, but for a lot of us, health is definitely about your physical health, but there's also mind health, financial health, the trilogy, as we've been discussing. They overlap, and actually, those three areas of our lives really influence one another. They're not independent of each other. Some of you, as you've got come now upon day 11 of your detox, maybe you had some goals in the beginning and maybe your goals have changed a little bit, and that's okay. Be willing to be flexible with your goals. You might have more information now. You may have tried something and you know that you need to tweak it a little bit. That's okay. I think it's important when you're goal setting to not be completely rigid, just to be rigid, but to be a little bit fluid in your goal setting. One of the things that we advocate here is having very small, manageable steps when it comes to setting goals. Uh, the main thing about a goal is that you want it to actually be achievable. And you may have a grander goal, like reaching a certain weight on the scale. But we want to break that down into smaller pieces so that it doesn't seem too big, too far off. And therefore, we don't actually do anything in our everyday lives that helps us reach that bigger goal. So we want to encourage you to set small goals, even 3 hours at a time, one day at a time, a week at a time, a month at a time, as opposed to that far off goal. For me, when I thought about losing 100 pounds, that seemed really big and really hard. But when my coach told me, look, we're just going to take this 3 hours at a time. We're just going to have the next fueling, the next lean and green meal, the next glass of water. We're going to protect our sleep. We're going to start to think differently a little bit at a time. It actually felt achievable to me. And that made all the difference. So I want to talk to you a little bit about something called structural tension. This is a tool that I hope you will really meditate on and really apply again in your health, but also in other areas of your life. And if there's any area that you want to improve or achieve something or be successful. So, structural tension is really a goal setting tool, and organizations use this tool. It's nothing really new, but it's any physical, mental, or financial goal that you have can actually be broken down into these smaller, more manageable steps. And so, structural tension is the tool that's going to help you prioritize what those steps are. It's one thing to say, yeah, make your goals smaller, but how do you determine what those should be? So structural tension, it's kind of like this rubber band. It's the concept that if you have a vision or a goal over here, you've got to start with your current reality. So we know where we are right now. Let's say, for example, I am 90 pounds overweight. Okay, that was me 6 years ago. And where I want to be over here is at a healthy BMI, a healthy weight. I want to be, maybe over here I'm not sleeping well, and my goal over here is to have my sleep improve, whatever it may be. Maybe it's actually a work goal, something that you'd like to achieve for yourself in your career. You know what your current reality is, and then you know what the vision is for what you want. In between those two things is this tension. It is the productivity tension of what are the steps that I need to take in order to go from point A to point B. It's those steps in there that create that tension. It's really motivating. It's what are the things that are going to do that are going to both help me and motivate me to keep going in the right direction. So here's an example. Let's say you want to run a 5K and you are looking at the future and the 3 months down the road, and you've got to run 5 kilometers, 3.1 miles, and you're like, I can only run for about 20 feet. And so if you were to try to run the 5K on day two, you would probably be pretty discouraged, maybe even injure yourself, maybe not even be able to be successful. And so you put a plan in place to increase your steps, or the feet that you go, the mileage that you go over an incremental period of time. So maybe by the first week, instead of running 20 feet, now you can run, 40 feet. And then you just keep it on going, and you have set small steps and goals in between your current reality and where you want to get. And that will really help you out a lot. So by harnessing this power of structural tension, you're breaking down whatever your bigger goal is into these manageable steps. You're able to prioritize your efforts, and you can actually make steady progress toward your vision instead of feeling overwhelmed and quitting, or even worse, not starting at all. Okay, another thing to consider when you're setting your goals in that structural tension piece is you want your goals to be things that you can control. Okay, controllable variables. There are some things that are not going to be within our control, right? We can't necessarily say, I'm going to run in sunshine every day, because we can't control the weather. If we wake up tomorrow and it rains and there's rain predicted for the next 2 months, and your goal is to train on sunny days, you're not going to get very far. You can't control the rain, right? Another example would be, let's say that you wanted to get a raise, and you know that you can do all of the things that will help you get a raise, but your boss is ultimately the one that's going to make that decision. That's not something that you yourself can control. What you can control is maybe you have a target for sales that you're able to increase. Maybe there is a skill that you need to learn in your career field that will help you become more appealing to upper level administration that would be willing to give you a raise because of your skill set. Those are things that you can control. So consider the controllable variables and set your goals accordingly. The other thing that you want to do is you want to have some balance. If you get a promotion and now all of a sudden you're away from your family, but being with your family is more valuable to you, you want to make sure that you are setting maybe a different goal, that when you're home, you're fully present and you turn off the notifications of your phone so that you're not allowing your work notifications, your emails, to continue to rob or take away from time with your family. So you do have to consider, what other variables are there going to be? How do I also create balance as I achieve my goals? And how do I continue to protect and preserve the things that matter most? Okay. So optimal health really is about balance. It's a process. We're on a journey, and it's a good thing. But we also want to put in place some structure. So I want to ask you, like, what needs to be changed in your life? Instead of looking just at the goals, how can you change your structure? We reprogram our food habits if we want to reach a healthy weight, right? If we want to feel less stressed, we reprogram our stress coping habits. We practice deep breathing. We work in some time for yoga or prayer. We actually do the things that are going to help decrease stress by creating some structure in our day. I'm a big fan of time blocking. And the biggest piece of time blocking for me is putting in place a very set parameter that when I'm doing this thing, nothing else outside of a real emergency hinders me or stops me from doing that thing and that thing alone. And that allowed me to grow in discipline. And it created actually time for me to do all the things that mattered most. So that might be something that you could implement, but that's structure. So again, another part of the structure relates to that balance piece. So I'm actually turning off my work email notifications when I get home. And I'm letting those things wait until the next day when that's the time to do it, and preserving and protecting that. So I'd love for you to consider, what other habits do you have that aren't supporting your new, well-rounded goals? Then build structure around it. Is there any habit that's not working for you? You might just need some structure. So James Clear, a leading expert on habits, says this. I want to read a couple of things to you. He says this about habits. Okay, this is really good. Make your habits obvious. Clearly define your goals and the habits you want to build. Clarity is king when it comes to changing behavior. What specific habits must you adopt or change to support your new goals? Write them down. I'd encourage you to do that right now. What's one goal that you really want to work on? Get real specific about it and write it down. Secondly, start small. Don't try to overhaul your habits overnight. Remember, that's going to result in injury if we try to run a 5K, if we know on day one we can only run 20 steps and we attempt to do that in day two. So don't try to overhaul everything overnight. Instead, focus on making tiny changes that you can realistically stick to. This is more sustainable in the long run. If you want to prioritize family time, the initial habit might simply be spend 15 minutes more with family this evening. Okay. The third thing is to track your progress. Keep tabs on how you're doing. Are you sticking to your new habits? Seeing your progress can motivate you to continue. If you're struggling, this feedback can help you identify where to adjust. That's the beauty of having a health coach, because they come alongside you and help you track your progress and help you brainstorm and help you have accountability and definitely encourage you along the way. Create an implementation intention. Okay, this is the next one. Plan when and where to perform your new habit. The specifics of implementation really matter. So, for example, when I get home from work, I'll spend 15 minutes with family before opening my laptop. In a more effective plan, that's a more effective plan than I'll prioritize family time tonight, right? Like get specific. Like when are you going to do that? How are you going to do it? Okay. And then don't miss twice. That's the last thing. When you miss a habit, get back on track as soon as possible. The key is to be consistent, not perfect. I'm telling you what, friends, consistency is king. Little bit here, little bit again and again and again. That is how we actually ultimately reach the difference between our current reality, that structural tension, and the vision that we have for our future and our goals. Celebrate milestones is the next one. Acknowledge and celebrate your progress along the way. This helps build motivation to keep moving towards your goals. Guys, we don't celebrate ourselves often enough, and we don't celebrate others. I'm really good about celebrating my kids, and I realize that if they need it, I do too. And it's good for me to celebrate in healthy ways. And then lastly, be patient. Habits take time to develop. Have patience with yourself. You're building new routines, and it isn't always easy. Okay? It isn't. But with consistent effort, you can make meaningful progress toward your goals. Be patient. Listen, I'm really glad I live in an Amazon world. I love ordering something and knowing that it could come that same day or the next day or, heaven forbid, in 48 hours. But our health journey is not quite like that. Most goals that are big, worthy goals will take some time and some patience. That's okay. Listen, friends, time's going to go by anyway. You may as well fill that time with that structural tension, those goals, and the steps that you can logically and easily implement so that you have a fighting chance at actually transforming your life. So it's your turn. What's one habit you can commit to building this week? What is it that is going to most support your new goals? Think about that. The key to starting is to start small and to be consistent. Celebrate those tiny wins and allow those wins, those small wins and victories to help motivate you moving forward. I would love for you in the comments to go ahead and put, what are the things that are some goals that you want to achieve? Maybe get real specific with us in the comments about something you can do specifically to implement that goal. And if you've maybe even done this recently and had some success, I think it would be great for you to share that in the comments as well. I know that will encourage and motivate others. Listen, we are not just about losing weight in this 14-day detox. That's important. Detoxing our bodies matters, but we get to detox our mind and we get to detox our habits and our goals. And I hope that this message and this information has helped you do just that. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for being with us on this 14-day detox, day 11.